President Obama is scaling back his planned troop withdrawal from Afghanistan. The president had hoped to reduce the numbers of soldiers to just over 5,000 by the end of the year, but today he announced more troops will remain in the country to help train local police forces amid a Taliban resurgence.
Instead of going down to 5,500 troops by the end of this year, the United States will maintain approximately 8,400 troops in Afghanistan into next year through the end of my administration. The narrow missions assigned to our forces will not change. They remain focused on supporting Afghan forces and going after terrorists. But maintaining our forces at this specific level, based on our assessment of the security conditions and the strength of Afghan forces, will allow us to continue to provide tailored support to help Afghan forces continue to improve.
President Obama speaking earlier today, the president said that Afghanistan is in a better place than when we got there, but Afghan forces are still not yet strong enough to do the job themselves. Ambassador Christopher Hill, the former U.S. ambassador to Iraq, joins me now. Thanks for coming by, sir.
Pleasure.
So what is driving the president's motive in drawing back just 14% of troops?
Well, I think to some extent it's Iraq. I mean, to some extent there's a sort of a broad perception, a narrative out there that somehow the U.S. Withdrawing troops from Iraq caused the resurgence of this Sunni insurgency and in other ways spawned ISIS. So as you look at the battlefield in Afghanistan, and sadly it's a country better characterized as a battlefield, you see a resurgent Taliban that has very little interest in reconciliation. They may fight with each other, but they're certainly fighting with government forces. And I think the concern in the administration is the Obama administration, which never liked these wars and really wanted to get out of them, doesn't want to be go down in history as going kind of 0 for 2 on these.
Ambassador, could the mission in Afghanistan be too narrow? I mean, how are U.S. troops helping the people of Afghanistan beyond just combat?
Well, I think it's important that people understand that putting in large combat forces of U.S. U.S. soldiers is not a sustainable solution. I mean, I don't think there's any consensus within the U.S. Within the U.S. public for that type of long-term deployment. And people will say, "Oh, this is just like Germany or just like Korea." That's a statement where it's clear the person doesn't know anything about Korea or Germany. So I think in terms of what the options are, certainly battle formations of troops is not an option, and so you go to some kind of training mission, although these are terms we've heard for a long time. You go back to the Kennedy administration in ramping up Vietnam, so it's not unusual, but I would say that these troops can do a lot of things. They can help in forward air control, that is making sure precision weapons are as precise as they can be, that is having people on the ground. I think the training is very important. Getting the Afghan police, not just their military, to function well, I think it's very, very important. The problem is in the long run, can the Afghans really sustain this on their own? And for now, the betting is no, they can't.
Is President Ashraf Ghani a solid partner for this, sir?
He seems to be a much more solid partner than his predecessor. That said, he's obviously looking at this from a different perspective, and what he sees from the United States is a country that probably can't sustain this long term. And so, as such, I think he's going to be kind of looking for other solutions, not just American solutions. So I think the president, our president, is really trying to work with him, trying to make sure that we have some kind of stability on the ground and avoid the kind of situation we had in Saigon, 1975, of people being lifted off rooftops by helicopters.
And he'll be aided by those 6,000 troops from 41 countries. President heading to Poland for the NATO meeting. We'll have to hear more from that when it happens. Former U.S. ambassador to Iraq, Christopher Hill, thank you as always, sir.
Thank you.